Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sid Alpha. I'm coming to you with another small news report. This one is, once again, surprisingly enough, involving Valve and Steam Workshop. I wasn't actually expecting to be doing two of these videos in a row, but as it turns out, there was some other information that came up that I felt needed discussing a little bit because of a lot of forum posts and other information that I've been seeing that users have been posting, and I wanted to try and help clarify that just a little bit. So what happened was, recently on a Dota 2 subreddit, Valve had discussed their new intention to have Steam gifts and trading have a 7-day cooldown period. Now, that is because they've had a pretty severe problem lately with fraudulent purchases and people reselling items. Typically, they do that with stolen credit cards and then to purchase games and other in-game prizes and things like that, and then sell them off to people at a significant discount. Now, this problem has been around for a couple of years, but it hasn't really been too prevalent until recently. As Valve stated, this first started happening to them back in 2013, but as with anything else, illegally that makes money, eventually it balloons and grows out of control. So what Valve did to help stem the tide was to initiate a 7-day wait or grace period on trades and gifts. The reason why this is such a large concern is because I've seen a lot of people saying there are so many other ways that Valve could have gone about this, and it's so frustrating, and it causes a great deal of hassle. But one thing I haven't been seeing too much of is people actually being able to explain the how and the why that this is kind of the way it is. Now, first off, you have to remember that everything that runs on Valve and in Steam, it's all software, it's all programming, it's all controlled on servers, right? And with things like this, when they're trying to limit the amount of users that are their users that they're getting scammed, they have to do in such a way that is as non-impacting to the system as possible. And the reason for that being is if you make drastic changes to any form of software or program, there can be definite unforeseen side effects or consequences to that. That could include the program just completely not functioning at all. And if Steam were completely unable to accept credit card sales, that would be extremely impacting to them and to the consumers as well. And I think that is mostly why they have gone with the waiting period, is to help verify new accounts, things like that. And also, if someone just steals a credit card that day and goes out and makes a bunch of purchases with it to be able to resell later, having that grace period will allow time for the credit card to get reported as stolen. That way, the charges can be reversed and the person who was the victim of the theft would have as little impact on their lives as possible. Now, all in all, I personally have no problem with this whatsoever. I think this is perfectly fine. A waiting period on being able to trade something off. It helps not only with fraud problems, it also helps avoid issues for Valve and Steam facing legality issues. I always seem to be coming back to legality issues when it comes to Valve, but there does seem to be quite a bit of it. I have been seeing a lot of people complaining about this new time-based restriction, but I think a lot of it is basically just a lack of understanding. I think mainly their subreddit posts contained a good deal of information. I think a lot of it was probably presented in a fairly limited light there, which still begs a lot of questions from people who just aren't able to understand what they're reading. Or either that or they just choose not to listen because it's frustrating their lives a little bit more. But trust me, folks, when I say that this grace period, 7 days, is, that isn't necessarily, that's not an arbitrary number. It's really not. Banking communities and things like that, they do require a certain amount of time to be able to verify fraudulent transactions. And the 7 days is actually a fairly standard minimum amount of time. And instituting this way would also be the least impacting on the software and hardware of Valve's platforms. So I actually think that this is, in the end, not a bad thing. It's not a great thing, but it happened because people are out there doing bad things, and they really shouldn't be. And Valve is trying to protect themselves and their consumers from that happening. So try and bear that in mind before you start raising any flags to go charge off to Valve and storm the gates, as it were. They're not doing a bad thing. They are trying to protect you while also trying to protect themselves. During this video, you've been watching me play Kerbal Space Program very badly, but I just recently got into this game. I waited on it because it was in early access before, and I refused to purchase an early access game. Once it hit full release, I have been playing it quite a bit, and it's actually a very enjoyable game. So while you're at it, while you're watching this video, if this game sounds like something you'd be interested in, please do go check it out. It is $30 US or your regional equivalent, and it has been a great deal of fun. So, pretty short one tonight, guys. Thanks again for making the time to check out my video. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.